Yeah, it's interesting. Like one thing that I've been observing with this one now is, so I mean, you watched it, so there's like this whole part with the hiking,
Yeah.
and I didn't like I knew what I wanted it to be about, and I've outlined the whole thing. But the
Hmm.
whole hiking aspect, I filmed at like mid-August, where because that was kind of like the glue to put all the different things together, like the common through line. So I went hiking at the very last step of shooting. And then afterwards I was editing the whole thing. So it actually was an interesting experience to like part one, which is kind of the which feels like an establisher for the remaining segments. Um, has feels very heavy and dark for me.
Mm.
Uh, and it needs kind of that energy for the rest. And I felt that in May, and I didn't feel that anymore in August. So when I was editing it, I had to kind of put myself back into this rather heavy and emotional state while I was editing. And I think I was working on that definitely the longest. It was like 10 days editing on that. And that one was fucking tough. That was probably
Wow.
the hardest thing I've ever edited because it was just so hard to stay in that emotional state, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like you're decoupling your emotions in the present moment to try and reach back to the past.
Yes.
Oh, that's so challenging.
It was really like it was a challenge because like the hiking day, I knew what the visual should be. I need to be alone. I need to be in the mountains, but, and all that. But I basically had the best day ever. I didn't feel that emotion that conveyed in the like for the album during the day. So that was a very interesting experience. I never really had that in the past. Um, kind of
Wow.
like a timely dissonance between the experience process and the like the creation of it.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was
Damn.
really my summer. Yeah.
I'm curious, were you journaling during that time in May, like having all those emotions down? And
Oh yeah.
then, yeah, okay.
Well,
So,
maybe it wasn't like there was definitely lots of journaling. Um, maybe also like some filming. Um, I knew that I wanted to um well, I knew that whole topic of being alone and not being seen, and then kind of taking my life as it is as like the perfect manifestation of the opposite or something. I knew that that was the outline, so
mm,
I need to journal a lot about it because it was just my life at that.
mm,
Um, but yeah, for like the whole thing with my dad, I was journaling a lot because I just didn't know how to approach it. Like I didn't know. I knew I wanted to make something from it, but I didn't know that it would turn out the way how I made it with the Mr. Bean and all that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
My God. I like cried and laughed watching
Love it.
watching your video,
Yeah, thank you so much.
film, movie.
I
Like,
really appreciated your video that you sent over. And, like, meant so
yeah,
much.
I was like, I should have like recorded watching it because that would have been like the most raw. But then I was like, I need to like screw the perfectionism. I'm gonna like just record what I got right now and
It
just
was
send
so
it
good.
over.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I was actually feeling pretty overwhelmed last week when I posted it. Um
Yeah. Tell me about that.
I'm making a video about it right now because it's such a unique experience. Um so I'm basically made this illustration before where I obviously like I told you I've been working on that since May.
Yeah.
By the time I was done editing it like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, I the topic kind of was finished for me. So I was working through it personally and creatively, and then there was the whole thing finished. So last Wednesday, on the day where I published it, I woke up and I kind of checked in with myself, and I felt really at peace with what I made, and I was like excited to put this out now, and then like start working on the next thing. That was kind of like my state of mind. And then I published it and then slowly some comments came in and some voice messages came in, and I wasn't aware about how vulnerable I am in that situation
Mm.
and like how intense that would be. I basically provided everyone a front row seat into my subconscious. And of course, that's my choice, and I'm kind of aware of it, but I couldn't anticipate the emotional reaction I had to that. Like, there was
Hmm.
so much nuanced stuff with my mom who didn't play a big role in that album. So she felt really triggered, for example, um,
Oh.
which obviously was not my intention. And I needed to be true to what I was doing there, and like that part of the story, like she's not a big part of that particular story.
Mm.
Plenty others. So there was like a thing that I needed to navigate, and it's weird because for me it's been my life for months, and then suddenly it's it's like people reacting to it. It's an odd experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like because you've decoupled your emotions, like it's difficult going back to those emotions, but at the same time, when you know, relieve all of them and then post it online, there's like a sense of detachment of like, fuck it, right? And
Mhm,
just send it
mhm.
out. And then it's like the consequences of those previous emotions coming to fruition with other people and how they're reacting to it.
Mhm.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah. 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 It felt really, yeah, I don't know. It's probably just part of the process. Like my conclusion with the video that I'm making right now is basically one line of Rick Rubin's book where he was saying or writing about. Sorry, the bells are super loud.
No, it's
Actually,
good. I can't hear it, so
oh, you can hear it?
just a tiny bit. Yeah.
Okay. Um, uh, Sharing art is the price of making it, and vulnerability is the fee. And I read that like when I read the book, but now that really applies to my situation right now, where it's I knew that I needed to get it out, and it's such a healing experience to put yourself out there and make yourself vulnerable. But it's just that I could not expect how intense that would be. Like, yeah, I was talking to my therapist on Wednesday. I was like, what should I do now? And how can I focus on the next thing already? Because 12 hours ago, I had so much clarity on what I wanted to do. And he basically just told me that sometimes we try to solve things the same way how we did it in the past. And this is a complete new experience for me. And I need to give myself now the time to let the dust settle down, which was very, yeah, interesting.
Hmm.
Anyway, it's just, yeah, so much nuances.
Yeah, that is interesting because you want to jump into like the next thing, right? And we
Yeah.
probably already have plans. Like even before you finish the edit, you're probably like journaling about it and stuff. So it's like it's challenging to like sit down and be like, I need to let the dust settle,
Mm.
let all the, you know, comments come in or whatever and see all the reactions and be like, okay,
Yeah.
on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting.
Sure. For sure. Yeah. Have you had like a similar experience in your life? Like where there was like kind of this dynamic of, I don't know, creative dissonance?
Mm, the one thing that comes to mind is when I made like a video that I haven't shared yet. It's kind of still in the edit, and I kind of made like a rough draft and shared it to like this group and kind of did like a viewer party. And it's about like, you know, growing up, entrepreneurship, and kind of like building my own path, going down my own path. And it also involves like when I was 14, my parents divorced. And so during that time, you're going from like a boy to a man, you're transitioning to that period. And so I didn't really have that mentor to look up to and kind of guide me. And so I kind of had to figure it out on my own, right? And I told that story a little bit in the video. And there was a part of like a reaction of a person who was married but got divorced and has kids. And he was like triggered by the like by
Wow.
the feelings that it evoked because of like the mentioning of the divorce and
Yeah.
the effects that it had on me. So I was like, whoa, like I was not expecting that. I was like, oh shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like I mean, I it because it is a process for us when we make stuff like that. I was talking to a friend the other day. It's also like um he was basically putting up this analogy between making something out of a process or out of an event. Event is more like a deadline, a fixed schedule, weekly or monthly or daily or whatever. Um, and it's kind of like an external motivator. Whereas the process is kind of free or isolated from that because the thing with your parents divorcing, I mean, if you say that this happened when you were 14, this is still going on. So it's like 10 years ago or 10 plus years ago. And it's still a process that you're kind of working through. And now you're kind of tapping in with your creative energy. So there's not really a timeline to this, which I find very interesting and very real. And
Mm.
because it is a process for us to do this, it's also easier for others, for the viewer, to tap into whatever has been created, um, and kind of mirror their own process in it. That's what I find so interesting when I get feedback and comments and voice messages. I get something else from every single human being, and most of the time it's something that I did not even think about. It's like they project their own inner world onto my work, and I love that. That's like that gives me so much meaning because I actually enable them to look inside. And I feel like that's a big, big, big priority in my own life. And to be able to achieve that with my work just means so much to me. Um, So yeah, it's interesting. The like treating your art as process versus an event is been very powerful. Like
Damn. So it's like your own energy, your own experiences, and your own depth, and then creating, expressing a piece, and then having other people kind of use that piece to try and go deeper into their own depth, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
And obviously, like you can't control if that happens. The only indicator that it could happen is if you yourself have an emotional reaction to it. Like take the thing with Cecilia, Nathaniel's mom. Um, I made that like I planned a video, a very event like
Hmm.
over 1 year ago. I did that scene with jumping from the cliff, and I was talking about something. I don't even remember. I was making that, and then I looked at it in the edit, and it kind of didn't work, and then I just abandoned it on the hard drive. And this is one example I have that like literally more than 50 times, I would say. There's still 50 abandoned videos on my hard drive. Anyways, when Nathaniel sent me the message about like, ha ha ha, I showed this to my mom and I needed to explain to her what you were doing there. I was like, fuck yeah, finally, finally, this this idea has a purpose. And the purpose for this one now is just to explain Cecilia what this is all about. And yeah, that's it. And like nobody gets it. I don't know if people get it. Some like most people found it funny. That's fine. But the only person who probably has a like the person who it means the most to is Cecilia. And I made it for her. And that's fair enough. Like um
And you got
that's
the point across.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's so interesting to not limit yourself by any like external metric, what would be successful on the internet or what people are interested in. Because ironically, I feel like more people are now interested in my video for Cecilia than any video that I've done in the last years before I kind of flipped the switch.
Wait, can you say more about that?
About what?
about how people are more interested in like the video with Cecilia and your like recent work compared to like, you know, you making like an hour long video about inner work and breathing, breath work,
Mm.
and the breakdown of that, and a whole bunch of other stuff going down that route. And even
Mhm.
before that, like, you know, the
Yeah,
jumping experiences.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The trampoline videos, maybe they're a different category because I don't know how to fit that in. But like what I've done maybe from 2020 to 2023, like in that 3 4 year period. Um, like to be completely honest, I just wanted to make it on YouTube. Like that was big motivation, and I was seeing like all those people around me who made it, and I wanted to be part of that.
Mm.
And it was like it blinded me so much that I could not dig to where I actually wanted to. And that's why I was very impatient in my creations. Like I hated editing. I hated how I was doing. I didn't really enjoy talking to the camera. I just like didn't even think creatively about it. I was like, I need to do this because this is what works on YouTube. And Nathaniel edits like this. And Yes Theory edits like this. And then there is this whole Mr. Beastification, and I should approach it like that. Whatever. So all that external input that completely, like obviously without their fault, because Nathaniel is fully in touch with what he's doing, maybe more now than he was like a couple of years ago, but he has been digging deep for himself, but his digging does not at all look the same as my digging looks like. And I was not aware of that. So I was just kind of trying to get myself going based on what other people were doing. And it was just unsustainable. I could not push through and actually spend time on it. I felt like so impatient editing because I just wanted to get it out, and then it needs to get a million views. And that was kind of like my thinking process. Whereas now I try to tap in more into the life that I'm living anyways. There's so much shit to kind of work through all the time. And I think that's what always will happen. Like if I can't see any way around that, and I really enjoy that. So it's kind of easy and very liberating to just tap into that inherited process of living life with some creative energy, and then just express whatever's going on. And sometimes that will be really deep. Sometimes that will be very light and funny. And sometimes it will be something that I have not even, like, that I don't know about because I don't know what the future will bring. But that feels very close to life. And that solved so many problems for me. Like it made me more patient. It made me more relaxed. I didn't look for purpose like in months. Whereas last year I was so lost.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, there's so much there. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
everyone gets stuck when they're going on YouTube and they watch all these videos on how to become a YouTuber, or you know, they're trying to copy and trying to see like what is the new virality, what's the new wave,
Yeah. Yeah.
YouTube new wave. And yeah, they copy and then they
Yeah.
get focused on the metrics and then forget about like just sharing the real things, like showing the work, doing their like life, and then just documenting it and seeing if like there's any substance to like when you edit it and you put it together, like the reflection in that, it's like when you're watching yourself, it's so different than like living. And
Mhm.
like reflecting on that is like so bizarre and so interesting. And
It
like
is. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because like the whole YouTube New Wave thing, like that that is such an amazing concept. And there are like definitely so many creators and creatives have come out of that who are like expressing their unique voice, but also somehow there has developed this YouTube New Wave aesthetic, and people just kind of jump onto that, which is fine. And like sometimes it takes a lot of experimentation to find your own voice. but it's interesting how it's easier to do something you you like it's easier to make something inauthentic than figuring out what your voice could be. And I think perfectionism or um yeah, maybe perfectionism plays a big role in that because sometimes the most authentic thing we could do is a creation that is far from perfect. Like I look back at my trampoline videos and they are shitty. Like there's like so many shitty effects. And like I made basically when I jumped, I would make a cut and then I would tint the screen like sepia or black and white or blue shadows or whatever as I was jumping through it and I was landing and it goes back to normal color. That's a very shitty effect. Like I would never do that now. But I look back at them now and I watch the videos and I'm just like, I'm so glad they exist. Nobody cares about how it's edited. It's just it feels very honest, and I think that's the point.
I feel the same way. Like yesterday, I checked out my first ever video on the channel, and it's unlisted right now because, like, whew, but it's like 2015, me in high school, and just playing Boom Beach on my phone. And it's
Bad.
like, yeah, it's like Clash of Clans Boom Beach.
Oh,
And yeah. And just like me giving a rundown of what type of strategies I'm using. And it's this like really terrible microphone. And I'm just like, there's so much dead space. And at the same time, it's like, damn, that's where I started. Like, yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
I'm feeling it. And
yeah,
it's so good to look back on those events and like those videos.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's so interesting how yeah, that is also like because like you were interested in boom beats back at that time. I don't
Beach,
know what that
beach.
is. Oh, boom beach.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what it is, but you being enthusiastic about it actually invites me into a new part of what people do in life. That actually opens up a curiosity. I've listened to this podcast recently where I don't know, you which example did they give? I don't remember. Maybe sometimes when you maybe Danko is talking about this as well, where um you're niche less. So you just pick your you as your personality. And maybe we two connect initially about um psychology or creativity, but you actually open up a lane for me to really get hyped and hooked on yeah, how's it called? Boom Beach.
Boom Beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like
like this dumb mobile game.
yeah. Like that's
But it
that's
was
very
fun.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
had the same thing with the trampoline thing. Like it's so interesting because so many like of my friends back then, like there's a guy called Jacob from Sweden. He's a friend of mine and I've known him for like 12, 13, 14 years now. And
Mhm.
at first we bonded over the trampoline, but he kind of developed into a similar direction than I did. Now we connect over filmmaking, and he was feeling really hurt when I made the first album with the trampoline part because he's basically in the same identical situation, which is so cool how it
Mm.
develops.
Damn. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you're a mirror. You like attract who you are in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like what you watch, like the inputs that you consume, you kind of start to become that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a network effect, in college or high school. Like the groups you hang out with, you kind of start to mesh into, those kind of people for good or
Right.
bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting how that changes
Uh-huh.
you.
Uh-huh. Yeah. What are what are you working on right now or like these days? Like where's your mind and heart at?
Ooh, big questions. I'm I've been like reflecting a lot about like my experience, my life, and how like going on YouTube and going into esports and into psychology and mental health and like kind of having that like awakening of where before like growing up I never really had access to my emotions. And then like 2019 hit and I was like grinding mobile gaming like professionally for making money. I was basically paying college off playing video games. And luckily I didn't have to pay college because I actually got like a scholarship, so I was making like a good amount of money. And throughout that experience, the thing that lacked was like my emotional development because the gaming really suppressed that, and like the dopaminergic cycles that was in, I never really like cried. And so like when I started watching these videos on YouTube from this guy, Alok Kanoja, his name is like Dr. K on YouTube, Healthy Gamer. And I like started watching those after I kind of got benched off my team
Mhm.
after my like dream team. We disbanded because we didn't make it to the finals. And that was like such a soul crushing, like, you know, I
Oh no.
basically lost my family because we've been working together for some time and like we developed a strong bond.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was angry, I was frustrated for like no reason. I didn't know why. And I was sad and like depressed. And so I like, I don't know how, but I stumbled upon these videos on YouTube and I started watching them and I started to put myself in their shoes, like the
Mhm.
interviewer,
Mhm.
interviewee, and Dr. K. And throughout that process, I like started to like manifest my own emotions and like I finally got to cry like watching this movie called
Oh,
Fury, where it's like a tank group, and it's a battalion basically, and there's like five guys and a trainee that comes in, and they end up getting killed except the trainee at the end, and it's like him watching his team die. I was like, whoa, like this resonates.
ah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so going through that process, I was like my emotions have been like awakened. I can cry now. Like I started talking to people more. I started to like express my emotions more. Started journaling a whole bunch, and yeah, I like tried to learn how to make money and like did freelancing and I did like brand production for other people and I like made viral videos and I, you know, got millions of views and thousands of subscribers for other people, and I just
Mhm.
kind of left my channel kind of dangling. And I've been
So,
like,
like at that point, you were like you already had the channel, obviously, with the gaming, right?
yeah, I had like 33,000 subscribers,
Mm.
making like just like my favorite song at the time, and then montage of like, you know,
Nice.
competitive games. And like it
Yeah.
was raw. It was like no filter, and I was like making cool edits, trying to learn
Mhm.
how to edit and stuff, and that was a lot of fun. And so now I'm at a stage where I've been learning a whole bunch of stuff about business and about how to make it like holistically and how to combine like artistry and business together in that's like holistic and not like marketers marketing to marketers like Alex Hormozy bullshit stuff. Like combining what you're good at, what you want to do, and kind of helping people along that process so that you can go deeper into your own craft.
Mhm.
And so I've like learned so much. I've like journaled so much. I started making videos on it as well to see if people would join into like into a call,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to see that like if I can like help people, because that's what I'm best at. Like when I'm talking with people on dialogue, it's like the
Yeah.
easiest for me. It's hard to project onto a camera and like project like an
Yeah.
avatar.
Totally.
So
Nice.
yeah, that's where I've been at. I've been like shooting some clips outside in this beautiful sun right now, and just hanging around
Nice.
with my girlfriend, cooking, going to the gym. Like I'm so excited, like because in the U.S. I didn't really have like a stable gym,
Oh
but
yeah.
here it's like 7 minutes away, walking in the
Nice.
city. It's so good. So I'm
Awesome.
really happy.
Cool. Oh wow, that's so interesting. So you actually kind of like, um, is that like when you talk about creating a space or like I guess a community or building. connecting people and sharing that philosophy, um is that in form of like videos, or is that on a different uh place, or is it both? Or how do you like envision this to look like in a year?
Are you saying like what the calls would turn into, or
Okay, so it's mostly about the calls.
it's just like getting in dialogue, honestly. It's not like
Right.
at this point, like I'm trying to sequence it well. Like I don't want to be like focused on a community right now because I first need to get like
Yeah, yes.
people who are committed and
Mhm.
to see if like, I can bridge a gap between what they need
Right. Ah, okay.
and kind of like take all of my expertise throughout the years of gaming and making videos and brand production and combining
Yeah.
not just that but like the spiritual aspects and just
Mhm.
how I journal every day and how I like see the world.
Mhm. 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 Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's a powerful one. What's the like what would you say is the core philosophy of this? Like what, because I'm not too familiar with Alex Hormozy, but I think I know what you mean. Like
Mm.
I the direction where it's more like um basically he encourages everyone to become a businessman, like regardless of what your personality is, right? And then just like attract like have a product and sell the product and stuff like that. Um what or like I'm not sure if that's what he is about, but if maybe you can clarify about what is like the core of the philosophy that you're talking about there, like what's the difference?
Sure. So I think the main difference between like what I'm talking about and the groups that I've been connected with and I've been learning in compared to like Alex Hormozy or Danco or other examples of people who have like for example 7 links in their description of selling courses and newsletters and all of these funnels
Mhm.
and having big Mr. Beast text every 2 seconds, flashing at you of like you need to do this and this specifically. And
Mhm.
what ends up happening is like it's a synthetic market because the way that they showcase that they're succeeding is that they're selling you a course on how to do this exact same process. So they're marketing, selling, and fulfilling the same way, which creates a fulfillment mechanism or a mechanism of like syntheticness.
Wow.
And what you actually end up seeing is like even on like for example YouTubers, you watch videos on how to be an artist on YouTube, and they put like a $10,000 dollar mark on the thumbnail. And when you look at the video, it's
Mhm.
like they make 90% from actually being a YouTuber and 10% from being an artist. And
Mhm.
it's more similar to like an MLM, multi-level marketing scheme, than or a pyramid scheme than like an actual artistic business.
Mhm.
And it ends up sucking because the content is like shit. Because what these guys are like just trying to get you under is under them and trying to get them sold on like courses and stuff to repeat what
Mhm.
they succeeded on.
Mhm.
And they showcase that by like this extravagant, dollar sign. And
Right.
so that's like that side of business. And it's like so sad to see, so disgusting to see. And I want to help people share like their depth and divinity and make a living doing so. And so like so they can go deeper into their art and creativity. And on so the other side of it is you can like completely you can do marketing, fulfilling, and selling completely differently and completely differently than how you do it. But then you're decoupled from like what you actually like.
Yeah.
Because if you're, marketing, selling, and fulfilling one way and you're selling, how to do this way, then there's like a dissonance. It's like, wait, like if you don't actually like it that way, then why are you like promising this to the other person?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it comes down to like who you are, like your offer, and like getting clear on who you are first and like
Yeah.
what kind of offer you can help people with. And that like comes through like dialogue and talking with people and seeing what problems they have, and then realizing it's, oh, I can easily do that for you. It's like,
Sure.
that's because you're an expert, right? And experts are so hard on themselves and they don't usually see it. But when they get in dialogues, it's like, whoa, like I can easily
Right.
do this for you. And then what ends up happening is they charge like $100 an hour, or like $1,000 or $2,000 for some course. But then they're not valuing themselves enough. And so they get stuck in this loop and they end up attracting the wrong people. And so then they get burnt out doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's even like the content aspect of stuff where people are trying to make it online, kind of like you were and kind of like I was. I have my notebook, I like drew a 1 million subscriber logo. It's like, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
And it takes time to like figure it out,
That
but I've
growth
like,
button is messing with our heads.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm like completely opposed to like having 7 links in your bio and like fucking over engineering this thing.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely resonate with that. Sometimes it's very over engineered. I'm just curious, like what is, for example, let's take Denko, because like I'm actually familiar with Denko and I've bought some of his courses. Um I totally know where you're coming from with, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And I like after I finished my first album, I was kind of reflecting a lot about, okay, how can I make, now that this is, I vacuumized myself during the creative process, so nothing from the outside went in, so finally I have something that is fully me. Now how do I place this in front of the people who resonate? Like how do I meet you, or how do I meet Carlo from Mexico, who is sitting somewhere out there, who I know would love it? How do I meet? And my way to go back then was, like I experimented a little bit with different things, but one big part was the raw videos. Me just sitting down every day and talking about something. That was cool for a week or two, but then it actually, I I overthought it and I tried to find more topics to talk about, and it felt more like an event suddenly and less like a process. And it was hard for me to stay connected with myself while doing so. So eventually I just,
Mm.
then I didn't have any energy for it. Um, and now I'm at a place where I am like, it's different this time because I make my money making videos, but I don't make any cent at the moment from my own videos. Actually, I'm losing lots of money because I'm saying no to many like potential jobs because I want to spend the time like doing my own stuff. That's fine. But I'm making money somehow, and right now it's with making somebody else's videos. And if that would not be an option, I might need to be honest to myself, and like I was thinking about that last winter, and I think I would maybe work in a bookstore or work as a garbage man, because that stuff needs to be done anyways, and that gives me lots of time and space to work on my creative project. So basically my point is I need money somehow. And I think Dan Cole was talking about it like this: if you're not selling your own product, you're selling somebody else's, which kind of makes sense, because at the end of the day, unless you're like in a special working situation, we're like in a capitalist society, right? So we kind of sell value, or like sell something as value and get money from it. And his philosophy is more like sell your own value, and I think that's also what you're talking about. But
Mm,
like what's the difference there in between the two things? Are you saying that the courses that Denko are is making is more like mass produced and over engineered, and it actually misses the point of actually providing value to somebody? Or
in a way, like, were you able to talk to Danco?
No, but I was like on a like actually the one thing that actually kind of proves your point. The one thing where I learned the most from was a seminar called The Future of Work, which was like a 4 day long seminar where there was like 4 2 hour Zoom calls, which I didn't attend. I could have attended them, but I just listened back to them like in my own time. But I guess there would have been the chance to meet him, and I got most out of it because people actually asked him questions and he responded. Um, Whereas the other course, like mental monetization or something, is it's just like text, which is also great. Or like I didn't go through it completely yet, but it's nice, but it's probably not as intimate as the other one.
Mm. Okay, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Um, there's something I wanted to say about info. You were mentioning how, we are creative people, we're artists, but we need to make money somehow, right?
Mhm.
And so it's like, sure, okay, if I can fund myself working at a bookstore or taking out the garbage, or, how do I get people to actually see my stuff? And yeah, it's super tricky. And like then people fall into like, going the algorithm route, trying to, get people to, do the viral editing and, buy a whole bunch of stuff. But in terms of general direction of the conversation, like what's the main question you want to like synthesize from that?
Maybe what value exchange are you suggesting? And yeah, maybe that. Like
Okay.
what's the most ideal value exchange? Because I'm totally with you, and those guys can be pretty soul sucking. And to be honest, I lost like 2 3 weeks of creative energy because of it. Because like it's hard for me to like business feels very um rational, and what I'm doing is not really rational. So I try to put it together, and often I'm losing myself in both, like in both sides. So I'm fully with you that sometimes it's kind of it's nothing for artists. So I'm very open for an alternative.
Sure. Well, I disagree that business is rational because like so many decisions are made irrationally and purely based on emotion. And that's how like, people fund whatever they're doing. It's mostly like, of course there's like some sort of structure or, something that they tap into. But in terms of like going back to like what value gets transferred, it's like, of course you have return on investment, right? That's like, okay, I buy this course for 2 grand. I hope to at least get 4 grand back or like 20 grand back, at least like 10 times it, right? And it's like, okay, if that happens, great. If that doesn't happen, well, shit, I'm pissed. Like, I just wasted 3 weeks of my creative energy. I just wasted so much energy, making these like authentic, real stuff. But then it's like burning me out because I'm like overworking and not like going, actually deeper into my creativity. There's actually different types of returns. And I would argue your return isn't, or it can be ROI, but it can also be return on community, return on emotion, return on feeling. It's like you have a way of like pulling people's deeper emotions via connecting to your story because of that vulnerability, because of the way you edit, because of your storytelling and the essence of and your divinity. It's like it's so it's like you can't put a price tag on it. Like that's the thing. And so yeah, of course, like when you go to like try and sell it or market it, of course it's going to be so painful because it's like, yeah, this isn't just a return on investment.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So return on emotion, return on and community. Yeah. But then how do that's an interesting concept because it kind of isolates the whole make money from what you're doing thing. Yeah, it's funny because then like I guess my follow-up question is how do I make money from doing what I love? Um, or is it actually fine enough to take out the garbage?
Well, you answer, or you ask, or give me your answer. Like, what would you rather be doing? Like, sitting down for 3 months at a time, going deep into your craft and like experiencing life and seeing what it has to give you.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course,
Or,
I pick number one, but if that doesn't allow me to make money, I gotta get my money from somewhere. How do I get it if it's only a return on emotion?
so the question is, how do you make money doing what you love
Yeah,
via like making videos online, expressing yourself,
yeah, yeah,
creating art, because
yeah,
they're art pieces.
yeah.
Yeah, it's simple. It's not easy. It's simple.
Okay.
So here's the thing: you have your list of people. You have people in the comments, people who are resonating with you, people you've talked to, people you've worked with for making videos, like commercials, companies, everything, right? You have all of those people, and you start to get on dialogue with those people
Mm-hmm.
and see what kind of problems they're having.
Mm-hmm.
And then being really close and clear on the intention of like curiosity. Like what is this person having, or like what is
Right.
their issue?
Yeah.
And being curious to know like, okay, like this is this person's problem, and like reflecting back on it, and then seeing if you can bridge that gap. As I
Mm.
mentioned before, like you have so much expertise in so many domains of life and work. And like it's also that proximity effect to you where you're actively, going into the work of editing and living life and doing what you do. And it's like there's so much return on investment of just a person believing in you. And if you
Mm.
see that you like believe in this person and that you can bridge that gap, it's
Right.
like charging a high price for it.
Right. Ah, okay. Also kind of like a private private chef, but like kind of like a private creator. Like I know this family who has hired like a private chef, and I
Mm-hmm.
know, but it's really expensive. Um, and he lives with them and he cooks for them every day, and I don't even know how much they cost, but that's like basically he's selling his like he's selling much more than just his cooking. He's selling him as like a person and all that. So I'm sure it costs like a lot of money. And it's kind of like the same situation with this. It's like a private creator or whatever you need, I'll give you, or like I'll share with you my expertise.
Sort of, but not fully. You don't have to be a private like creator.
Mhm.
Like it depends on like what you like and how you want to fulfill. If
Mhm.
you want to just get on calls with people and get them in a group like once a week and meeting with them, and
Mhm.
like, because of your experience, because of your ability to like diagnose the problem that they're having, like the
Yeah.
actual problem, because of your depth, because you can go into this inner work and channel, figuring out people like they're asking this question but they're actually asking this question, you know and it's that type of mentoring that
Mhm.
you can have as private, but you'd have to charge like a really high price.
Yeah.
But it's like figuring out what you really like doing. If you like helping people like with their creative work and their edits as well. It's like, okay, but then you go kind of down more of, freelancing. And yeah, you can do that if you want. And at the same time, I think the most leveraged thing you could do is like get people into a group and like talk with them and see what kind of problems they're facing and seeing if you can like bridge that and like
Interesting.
sales calls.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Because
That's really interesting. Yeah.
it like you're so close to the work that it's hard to see. But like
Yeah.
I see it clearly. And it's like I'm trying to express it as clearly as possible for you to understand.
Yeah. No, I
Because
totally appreciate that. It's like, sorry, I'm like, it's hard to like wrap my head around it. Are you familiar with BC Cerna? You know that guy?
I've seen that guy. Yeah, yeah. I think
Little similar.
sorry?
Like I think I'm not sure, like a friend of mine, Kevin, he's part of the group, and I'm not sure what they're doing. I didn't ask him yet, but I think it's like maybe a similar situation like that where they would jump on calls, Purpose Academy or something, and and they would just hang out and I guess like have a little commune where they would fundraise for one person and then this person gets a ticket to the US and it's like this exchange of people, of community, of value, of creativity, and of I guess self-development. Like that's what he's about. BC, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not sure if that's something similar. Just trying to like, or is there like a concrete um person you have in mind who like is doing that?
Yeah. So there's Blake Lagrange on College with a K. He's basically like been my mentor. And there's also Blake HS. I forget his last name, so I think it's HS. And Xander has been like super helpful as well. And working on like energetics, kind of like showing up with this intention and like not coming from scarcity.
Mhm.
And like I've been like really challenged on that position because when I saw you like back in April,
Mhm.
it was like money was like it was fucked. Like I was selling my camera gear, I was selling my cameras just to like fund to be able to like sustain myself. And
Yeah.
then when I came back to the US, like I played esports, I like invested that into a Roth IRA, and I also got a scholarship for college, so I was getting like 4 grand a year to
Mhm.
like I put that into the Roth IRA pretty much. And so afterwards I was like, yeah, I cannot think clearly. And when I talked to you, remember, I was like, I need to make a school community. Like, I need to get
Yeah.
this free group
Yeah.
going. It's like,
Yeah.
no, like the sequencing was so off. I was not thinking clearly. I was like, I was taking all of this expertise that I was getting and I was like, I need to apply this in all of these domains. So I was
Yeah.
like trying to get on like sales calls and like, that mirror effect of like the closest people to you have that, same situation probably. So I was in scarcity. I had like a money issue and the people that I kind of talked to also had a similar thing going on. And so that was
Mm.
really painful because when I tried to help, it was like, cool, like I got their diagnosis. I know what they need to do and like this can actually help them. And then it came to like, oh, and then if you want to go deeper, like, are you open to like, you know, my offer? And then they're like, yeah, sure. And then I like say like 5K or like 8K or 10K or whatever. It's like, I don't have money for that. And it's like, yeah, that's so painful. And even the conversations were not like fully aligned. And
Yeah.
so to finalize that
Yeah.
story, I went back to the US and I was like, shit, like I need a, to come from a place of abundance, but also have like a fire under my ass to like actually get things done. And so I took out like 18K that I could from contributions. And I'm kind of like funding this next period of my life, kind of 1 to 2 years of, making these videos, getting on group calls and like helping people. And if they want to go deeper, like I can totally offer. But that's only after like I get the diagnosis correctly. I'm like clear on that energy and then, get to prognosis afterwards.
Right. Right. Can you go in detail more about like diagnosis and prognosis?
Yeah, sure.
Like, what do you mean?
It's like just being vulnerable and on a resonant frequency and asking like what's happening, like what sort of problems are you having. And like, for example, for you, if you were to keep going this creative route of, you know, posting your most authentic, your most real like experiences, and yeah, and not like creating them into events and just having them systematized or not systematized and just having them as art. Like, how do you fund that? So it
Mhm.
comes like a money issue, right? And so it's so challenging
Yes.
because as artists, it's like, ooh, the business side is so icky, so gross. And at the same time, it's like
Yeah.
necessary, but there's a better way. And the better way is to, you know, create it like more holistically than trying to attach this 2D framework of like, you know, marketers marketing to marketers.
Yes. Okay. Interesting. Um, okay, I hear you. What about, are you familiar with Hamza? Do you know that guy?
Yeah. Gosh, back in like COVID times, I was watching him a little bit.
Yeah. Um, I think he has like a like Adonis school or something. I checked it out the other day. It's really cheap, $5 a month. It's like a Patreon,
Yeah.
and it's like it's kind of like a community that you're talking about, right? It's not really a course. Maybe it is kind of a course, and he obviously has like, I think, experts on particular topics coming into the school. Um, I guess it's just like the pricing is an issue in my brain because like I get that inevitably I'm gonna move into, like, I'm gonna figure out a good thing that I want to share and can share with people. And once I have that, I I just want to be really solid on how much I charge. I totally get you with high ticket thing, like selling for high ticket. That makes a lot of sense. At the same time, it's going to be really hard to sell that. I mean, even though you only need to sell it a couple times, then you sort it, but it's kind of hard to sell that in comparison to like a $5 Patreon. That is probably easier to sell, but then you need thousands of people to get the same result.
Yeah. And if you're trying to get thousands of people to watch your stuff, then you're going down the algorithmic route. You're putting on
Yeah.
masks and you're making
Mhm.
thumbnails and titles to appeal to that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And, you know, Adonis, or gosh, what's his name? Um,
Hamza.
Hamza. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were talking about him in like the group, and he was posting on Twitter, like, how do I fix this churn problem? He's having like such high churn, which, you know, people come in, they pay for $1, and then they leave like the next month or whatever. And so
Uh-huh.
he's seeing like that's such a problem for him that he's like losing money or whatever. I'm not sure if he's losing money. I haven't looked at it. But
Yeah.
like in terms of charging a low ticket like $1 or $10 or Patreon, for example, fan support, it's like, sure, you can, you know, put information there, but then you're like segregating the information. Whereas you could just put it all out there and just, you know, keep information free. But then when you're trying to like have your own offer, of course, selling a high ticket, and I'm not charging like 1,000 or 2,000, like at least 5K plus, and for you even higher because of your depth and because of all of the things you've done, and you know, there's so much there. And the thing about like, yeah, having, yeah, Patreon, like fan support, sure, if you already have like millions of subscribers, then that might be a way to like have or test out like a community aspect of it. But like the proximity to you is so critical and so vital, and having people who don't have that gratitude because they paid $10 or $20
Mhm.
or $50, there's no gratitude there. Um
Yeah.
there's no on both sides there isn't really like a responsibility, right?
Mhm.
Whereas if you're charging like 5K, like, fuck, I'm going to be waking up at night thinking about like how I can solve this problem and try and help this person. It's like, there's the accountability on that side
Uh-huh.
and like the proximity to you as the expert.
Uh-huh. 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 Wow, interesting. I love that. Uh-huh. That's cool. Um,
But,
you could try something. Yeah.
oh, I thought you were going to say, but.
No, not at all. I was just kind of trying to wrap my head around it, like so many things. One, clarity on what this would look like. Two, oh my God, you're so even more awkward when they don't
Yeah.
talk,
Yeah.
right? No,
I don't know.
never mind. Um,
Clarity. Okay.
I guess like clarity on what the thing is, like
Okay.
which you like. I think for me it would definitely go along the sides of um I mean, technical editing, technical filming. There's like so much stuff I could talk about it for days. Um, and like that's kind of implicit with when they watch my videos and they resonate with it. There's just like so many touching points to start talking about it. So that's kind of straightforward. I can talk about creativity and like philosophy, all that little like process versus event. That's also pretty clear. And then I guess more on the internal side of things, all the different lanes of how I illuminate my subconscious and how I go inside and how I work with myself. There's like plenty of stuff that I could talk about. Maybe not for ultra beginners because I don't know what they need. And also not for people obviously that are ahead of me, but maybe for people who are 1 or 2 or 3 steps behind me, I have like plenty of stuff to share. And that, yeah, do you think that like could work with, I don't know, I have 5 people on a Zoom call or 2 people on a Zoom call every week, or maybe even one-on-one. Maybe that's even the best. And it's literally like, how can I help you today? What do you need for the next week? And then sometimes it's more, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And then it's more going into the route of breath work and stuff like that. And sometimes it's, I don't know how to finish this video. And then there's like a different lane. Um, that could be cool.
Man, you like explained it so beautifully, and like it shows how much depth you have because of the clarity of like the clarity on like how you can illuminate your subconscious, how you can like incorporate parts of you like editing, the creativity, philosophy side, the breathwork side. The one thing that I'd be a little bit cautious about is trying to um, make it for everyone. So like make it for people who have batteries included. Don't make it for people who like don't know about editing, or you know that they need their hands being held in the editing process. Like maybe the thing that you're going to offer, like it really depends on the market and what they need. But maybe it's like something along the lines of like, I will help you, or I will um hold on. Like it really depends on like what you want, and going deeper into like you, of like if you want to be like doing the editing work for them or not, because that's more of like agency side of stuff. So I don't want to like box you into like what I'm doing or what other people
Mhm.
are doing. It's like there has to be more clarity on like,
Yep.
because you do have experience like doing work for clients and doing done for you, right? And do you have
Yeah.
like any work with
I mean,
sorry?
no, sorry.
Oh, do you have like work with like coaching or mentoring or any done with you type stuff?
Little bit, yeah.
A
Or
little
done
bit.
with you, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
showing them. But yeah, I prefer that, I think, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I'm more than happy to give guidance, like not only creative but also like technical guidance. I think that's extremely powerful. But I like with everything that I'm doing, like I said before, Nathaniel's um hole digging looks different than mine. And if I would jump into somebody else's edit, I would dig my own hole. So
Mm-hmm.
I encourage everybody to figure out what their own hole should look like. And with that,
Yeah.
I could help, I guess.
I help people find their voice through storytelling. Does that resonate?
Yeah.
Something along those lines of combining like the hard skills, of course, editing, you need to be able to like create a story and like take all these terabytes of like documentation, right? And organizing and like figuring out what the key moments are and, building that into a story of like having a problem, even before that, like you're chilling, you have a problem, then shit hits the fan, you're going down deep under, and then you're like fucked, like rock bottom. And then you keep going down under depression, then you find yourself, and then things are still shit, but you're kind of having hope. And then you meet this aha
Mhm.
moment where it's like, oh my God, this is the way. And then, you go to the heavens with that path through pain and like telling that story for other people and helping them evoke that process of like how you were able to build your
Mhm.
storytelling. It's like, oh, I get so excited about that, even just sharing that. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah,
That's,
it's
that's
like,
awesome.
and I'm sure if you get on these conversations with people and you ask them about like the problems that they're having, like, and if it feels aligned with you, like, of course you have to vet the people. You can't be like including everyone into these sales calls and doing like 200 sales calls a month or something. But like getting people who
Yeah,
are
no.
who have batteries included, right? Who already know how to edit, who already know a little bit about storytelling, but who want to go deeper and find their voice. It's like, fuck, I keep watching these YouTubers and I'm making these fucking algorithmic, decisions. Whereas, I see Lucas on YouTube posting his fucking documentaries about his life and combining all this storytelling, and it made me cry. And like, I want to be a part of that movement. I want to be a part of like that
Mhm.
wave and that feeling and that community of people who are also like deeply committed on that journey.
Yeah, yeah,
How does that sit?
yeah. I mean, I, it sounds amazing. I mean, a big part of that is um like I want to get more in contact with others. That's something that I mean, I have my people in real life here, but I did not use the availability of people around the world like you right now. I don't do this enough. So that is a such a great chance to connect with not just my neighbors who are my best friends, but also people where I resonate on an like interest basis, which is really powerful. And that is like such a good, authentic way in how you could like offer something like that, I guess. Um, yeah, that is. I think for me it would need to be a bit like slightly official because I love helping people. Just like a big part of what gives me fulfillment is just giving stuff. Um, and like would help to make some sort of like an official place or official time or an official talk to really differentiate between leisurely helping and officially helping to kind of make that energy exchange as money also like legitimate. But yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to say before, if you want, we could try, because I think we can both learn a lot from each other at the moment. And I mean, we're at different stages, but like I do my thing, you do your thing, and that is like so much value I'm getting from you. And we could try to like do a little swap where we have a 1 hour call on a somewhat regular basis, and half an hour I help you with whatever you need, what I can give you, and then the other half an hour you help me with whatever I need and what you can give me. We can just like explore this dynamic further.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, there's so much there. So it's like you having your gift of giving, right? You're best friends with your neighbors. It's like that's not normal nowadays, right? And it's like editing and the storytelling process and creative process is so lonely. And it's like having a community there, not only for yourself, but for the other people that have the proximity to have be with you and in that community with those people as well. It's like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned having like a legitimate moment, right? Because you have a following already, because you have an audience, like that might be a great idea to like, hey guys, I'm hosting like a call, a Q&A call. Like I'm just finished, I just wrapped up with my, second album. I'm hosting a Q&A call kind of just to go deeper and like see if I can help any people like on this journey as well, on this creative path, and kind of resonating with like the top 3 assumptions that like problems that they would be facing, kind of like the problems that you might have faced like 5 years ago, or maybe even now, but like, you've got through that bridge already. So yeah. And then, so that might be a really cool idea of like having a group call and inviting those people in and seeing like what gets, like setting initial conditions and then seeing what like happens through that call. And then also one thing I forgot to mention is like, you were mentioning how you could do this on one-on-one or like group. And I highly recommend group more than one-on-one, because the ability to have other people also in on that conversation, it's not limiting. It's more so inviting other people to step in their shoes. And they will also, because there's so much feedback and because there's so much grace and I'm forgetting the word, gratitude, because there's so much gratitude on all sides, then they will also try to help them as well. And so it's this continuous upward spiral that I think group elevates you on such a faster level.
It's kind of like the whole group keeps itself accountable.
Yeah. And for the last part about like, sharing 30 minutes here, sharing 30 minutes here, I have to think about it, because I've also had this offer before with like another YouTuber, and I still have to think about it, because the thing with like of course I met you in person and like it's different and it's so like special, so I don't want to like go down like the businessy route, but I don't know if that will hurt you more than help you, versus like if there's this shared gratitude of committing on this journey, then there's also that. And so
yeah I totally get that. Yeah, it was
but
just an idea.
I'm really open to like thinking about these though, because like I would love your expertise. So
yeah
so interesting.
I mean, this is cool. I love to like give something back to you now, because that's really valuable.
Yeah, and this is just like the beginning for me, because like I still have like such a runway with money, and so I'm not in a point of like I need to like fucking make it, right? But at the same time, there's also like like making my first like sale, or like doing whatever. Like tomorrow, I'm having like the group call, and then hopefully I have 3 people who are who signed up, And so hopefully I can like help enough, kind of similar to like this experience where I can help diagnose kind of the problem and kind of provide value in that sense, in the value sense. And yeah, just seeing
Yeah,
if like,
sorry to interrupt you, but that makes so much sense. It's just like just because you have a big runway doesn't mean you should not like charge for money. I mean, it's energy exchange. You're
mhm.
providing something and you get something back for that you can use in whatever way you like. That's the purpose of money. So I totally hear you. Um, yeah, it's kind of like people will pick up on this. And you probably need to adjust a few things, and you will probably get frustrated lots of times because many people won't be like won't have the capacity to to pay 5K. That's fine. But that's probably like some adjustment needs to be found so you can meet your audience and you set like the perfect like positioning for you.
Mhm.
But there's so many people out there who will be open to this, and you provide like lots of value, and especially through this dialogue. Like I did not expect this to go into this direction at all, and I'm here for it, and it's really cool. And you get more out of this than from a YouTube video. So um yeah, that's a great direction. I can fully see you there. So it's really great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super stoked. And one thing that you said, where it's like you're not meeting your audience at where they're at, or you're not meeting your audience, right? I would kind of push back on that, and like first it comes like what is your offer and who you are, and then kind of going outwards from there. It's not like first you have to go inwards to go outwards instead of going outwards and then going inwards. You're not kind of like synthesizing what the world needs and then kind of like going in. You're kind of going inside and then like
Right.
talking with people and seeing what problems they're having and then kind of transforming them. And that's where like real GDP value
Yes.
comes from. It's you're not, putting money to the highest person. You're actually exchanging
Yeah.
value, which will help like provide even more value for that person. And then there's a trickle down effect of like everyone that comes out of that. And it's not just like money related, it's the relationships, it's the conversations that people will start to have with their boyfriend or girlfriend or spouse or partner or other, stuff about like, hey, like I'm financially okay and I'm an artist and I'm making my own stuff and we don't have to worry about, paying the bills. Cause look, I'm on this like journey and I'm like helping people and they're, have that exchange of gratitude and they're paying me. And so it's like, ooh, that's a dream, right? It's like, fuck, I'm making my art. And at the same time, I'm like helping other people make their art and making a living doing so. It's like, ooh. But it comes back to like what kind of business you want. Like there's lifestyle, there's cash flow, and there's asset. So it's like lifestyle, you are like making money to live a certain way. There's like cash flow, so you have like extra money, maybe employees, kind of like an agency, and you can have like extra money to, buy fancy cars or like buy a whole bunch of whatever. Or you can have like an asset, like a brand or land or, management of houses and all that stuff. So it's like first, like what do you want?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I need to hang up in 3 minutes because I'm going boxing with my friend.
Nice.
But I guess I don't want a team.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to keep doing like I want to keep going exactly like I'm doing right now. Just take up life, and then sometimes I need more support, and I will like hire some freelancers, and then sometimes less. I guess that's how right now my ideal future looks like. And yeah, I guess the missing link right now for me is I like to get a step more into a place of exchange, talking to people. Kind of similar what you're doing, more like having more as an interaction. Like it was interesting when I released the video and it got like 200 views after 2 days or whatever. Just like some sort of dissonance where on one side my ego and my like how my past would think would be like, what the fuck? Like I spent months working on this. This should have 1 million views at this point. At the same time, I got more comments and more voice messages that I could even handle. It took me 3-4 days to fully like get back to everybody because I was like, whoa, this is so much. I couldn't handle more than that. So that's a good indicator where I think my priorities should go. It's not about the views and subscribers. It's more about stepping in exchange with people. And then that's kind of the same thing. So if I can finance my art, doing it in any way, then I think I would just like keep going like this.
Damn.
Yeah. So I don't cash flow, assets,
Cash flow, lifestyle, cash flow, and asset.
I want to sustain my lifestyle as it already is. I want to sustain the cash flow like I already have it. And I want to, in the future, invest in some assets so I can like sustain me on a different like lane in my family in the future as well. And ideally, I will swap the umbrella of freelance video editing, how I'm making right now, with something that feels more holistic to what I'm doing the rest of my life.
Yeah, the journey of entrepreneurship.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, you got to go. It was so much fun, and there's so much there.
Yeah, definitely so much.
But yeah, let's keep this conversation going and see if I can if we can go deeper and help you, build a sustainable, holistic business that doesn't hurt you in the long run and actually helps you go deeper.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I want to, bro, I believe in you. I want to see more work. I'm fully supportive. I'm so excited to continue on this path. And I'm in this beginning stage. So I'm in the beginning of this, but I've learned so much and just the vibe that, even meeting in person, that was oh, that was so exciting. And yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Likewise, I'd love to support you in any way I can. So
awesome. Thanks so much.
Have a good day then.
You too. Say hi. Konstanz.
No. Konstanz, I always think.
And say hi to
Maria.
Maria, shoot. I didn't meet her in person, okay? I'm better with faces.
True. Yeah.
Dang.
Cool, man. Yeah. Have a great evening.
You too, man. Have fun boxing. Peace out.
Thanks. Yeah.